Sinfonia number 8 in F major by Bach. This piece for me is all about joy, actually irrepressible joy. He is bursting at the seams with enthusiasm, and how he gives us this is very interesting, with a one measure subject that begins on the upbeat. 1, 2, 3, 4, 1. That's the complete subject. So we start with a little lift of this, and then in the middle is a trill. And that's, for me, the essence of the piece is the trill. And a little tail of 4/16 notes. And when I sing this to myself to get the character, I do, and it's so alive and joyful. In fact, I have to just tell you, the other day I was singing this and playing it, and a little blue jay came right outside the window and kept looking, where is it, where is it? And I think it was the trills. Anyway, this beginning, the first 3 measures of the piece, we have 3 voices. Measure 1 begins on the 5th note of our F major tonality. This is the alto. Measure 3 has the same thing in the bass. Those were just an octave apart. What do you think happens in measure 2? Well, the 3rd voice, the soprano. In fugal writing, when we have the answer, we have a subject on the starting note, C. The answer in fugue writing is usually a 5th away. So if this were a true answer, the soprano would do that. But you'll see in your music, it starts with an F. That's called an altered answer. And it's altered because it has to fit what goes below with the bass, which is this. If it was a true answer, it would sound like this, which would be awful. It wouldn't be allowed with the rules in the day, so he had to change it. I'm going to play now the first 3 measures so you can hear the subject, the altered answer, and then the subject again, an octave lower. At this point we start our first sequence, built on the first 3 notes of our subject. I will call that motive 1. And he's making that motive as a duet in tenths between the alto and the bass. And the soprano gets to do it too, but they're staggered. So let's take one voice at a time. Let's start measure 4 with first just the soprano. 1, 2, 3, 4, 1, 2, 3, 4. Okay, and now let's take the alto. 1, 2, 3, 4. 1, 2, 3. And I'm going to put those 2 together. Isn't that delightful? Now that all has to be done with one hand. And it's not easy to do, to get 2 different dynamic levels so you can hear the 2 separate voices. That takes some practice. Now below that is our 3rd voice with the bass, and this is what we have. You can hear it climbing up stepwise. The motive 1 is in there, but it's not easy to hear. I'm going to bring it out and exaggerate it now so you can find it. And it's that with the alto that makes this beautiful duet in tenths. So here is just the alto and the bass together. And all 3 parts together slowly. Measure 4. we get a modulation beginning to happen. And what Bach does is to take our subject in a new key, and it's first stated by the bass on the and of 3. These subjects always come on the off beat, the and of a beat. This time it starts on the and of 3. 3 and 4 and 1, 2, 3, and immediately answered by the alto an octave higher. Those are indeed identical, implying C major. So let's put the hands together now with system 2, beginning at measure 4, to see how he modulates to C major. Clear C major, and we've now come to the dominant of F major, C major. This is a good time for me to show you what you get with your chart. In addition to the 2-page working copy, you get the satellite view. This is maybe my favorite part of the whole chart, the edition that I'm offering. It's been such a help for me in learning and analyzing the piece. It's the entire piece as an overview. And it shows very clearly the 6 sections of the piece. And I call these lines systems. And where we ended right now is here, at the C major, the beginning of system 3. Now from this point on, I have actually decided in this engraving, which has never been done like this before, to begin with the half measure. As system 2 ends, it's only 2 beats, and the other 2 beats begin here. And the same thing happens here, 2 beats, beginning on beat 3 and 4. Beat 3 and 4, and beat 3 and 4. I know that's rather unconventional, and the reason I did it is because it shows that the subject comes mid-measure many times in the piece. And being able to start out of context on your 3rd beat is extremely helpful. It builds in the fingerings, and the ability to start at any one of these systems out of order, it gives a tremendous security for you. So here we are now at the bottom of our page 1, C major, 3rd beat. Let's play the soprano by itself now. 3, 4, 1, 2, 3. Do you hear what's happening? Yes, I know you do. These are the subjects that are being played around with on different start notes. The first one starts on the G. It goes right into another subject starting on the E. Now what he's actually doing is implying C major. And then the next one is implying A major. And then he goes implying D major. Very interesting. So I call this the development section of the piece because he's developing the subject in all kinds of different keys. We're moving, we just don't know where yet. So here is where the plot thickens. What does the bass do? So here it is, beginning, interestingly enough, on the and of the 4th beat. 4, 1, 2, 3. 1, 2, 3, 4, 1, 2. Now that's a little bit off. It's slightly off because it's not on the 1 or the 3. And what he's doing here is setting up a stretto. A stretto in fugue writing is when you have your subject in one voice and the next voice starts before the first one's finished. In fact, the second voice begins so quickly here, it's only separated by 1 beat. And this makes it extremely difficult to play. I'm going to play them together now, the hands, and listen, the starting interval in the soprano and the bass, this is an interval of a fifth. You would never play these together. They sound awful. But staggered by one beat, it sounds pretty good. To have those fifths answering one after the next. It's almost like an anchor note for you. So what I like to do here, which helped me so much to get my coordination on this, I actually feel like a juggler with these things in the air. They're in the air more than they're not, is to follow the trills. So I'm going to play it now as written and listen for the trills. Right hand, left hand. Right hand, left hand. They're followed immediately, just a beat apart. Starting, beginning of system 3. Okay, did you hear that? That's a nice thing to do. Of course, a little slower at first. Finally get the alto to come in on the D, the end of 3, 3 and 4 and 1, 2, 3. Okay, we're going to G minor at that point. And at the top of page 2, that measure finishes with the bass answering exactly on that D. Beautiful. Measure 10, 3, 4, 1, 2, 3, 4. Now, I'm purposely counting out loud today. Counting is a non-negotiable ingredient when you're learning a piece. You actually need to be able to count every beat of the piece because it has a different feel to it if the subject is arriving on a downbeat first beat, or if it's beginning on the upbeat of the 3, it's going to feel a little bit different. So you really need to know where you are with your beats. It also makes it more interesting. This offbeat thing is part of the charm and part of the character here. Remember, these are inventions. The Sinfonia is a 3-part invention. So he's being inventive. Okay, now we're starting on our page 2. We had third beat beginning. Now here's another altered subject in the bass. It should be and followed immediately by the soprano. But he has to alter this one too to sound like, this is in measure 12, the end of 3, 3, 4, 1, 2, 3, 4. Okay, I'm going to put the hands together at the beginning of our system 4. We're in G minor now. We don't really know for sure, but it sure sounds like it. In fact, that is just missing the D, which we get right there. And that was the whole point of these last 2 sections, the last 2 systems here, beginning right here with our C major development section, going all the way through. These two systems are what I consider the densest part of the piece. It's the repetition of the subject in multiple keys between different voices and on different beats. So you're going to have to work a long time on here. I color-coded my copy here. I love to put different colors for the 3 different voices. When you get your chart, which you can get at my website, sallychristianmusic.com, yours comes like this, plain with no colors. And that gives you the opportunity to mark it if you want or not. Alright, so we have now modulated to D minor at the beginning of our 5th system. And D minor is the relative minor of our home key, F major. Now, it is very interesting here. It's again the 3rd beat, but it starts with a suspension. We don't get the tonality clear until an 8th note later. We start with a tied note G in the alto. And there it resolves. So put a little more weight on the G from the previous measure. So it will continue to sound. Okay, we're moving out now. Now that's motive 1 being transformed. He's changing. Instead of down a 3rd and up a 4th, he's going down a 3rd and up a 6th. Very beautiful. Followed by the soprano in the original motive 1. Alto, parallel 10ths, soprano and bass, soprano, alto and bass, parallel 10ths. Isn't that beautiful? I found that absolutely magical there. This motive 1, where are we going? We're climbing, but we don't quite know where we're going. The clue is in the bass. So starting on beat 3 on our system 5, bass. From D he climbed up to F, and then B flat. That's the subdominant of our home key. So we're starting to come home. I think this is my favorite part in the entire piece, this measure 17, with the 3rd beat in the bass, and what is above is absolutely sublime. We have a duet in 6ths of the full subject between the soprano and the alto. I just love that. And right away the soprano continues. Did you hear my touch there? As loose as you can and light. It's difficult to do, but that will really give it the most beautiful character, I think. Now right after that soprano, 4, 1, 2, 3, this is in measure 18, we had another stretto with the bass, a 5th apart. Big distance there. And that sounds in the bass like this. 4, again on the 4th beat, 4, 1, 2, 3, 4, 1. That's a little disguised. Now what makes this especially difficult is you have to sustain above that with the left hand thumb on the alto part, the D. That's really hard to do. There are many places in the piece where you have to do that, to hold one of the notes and sustain it, not let it go, and get that trill with the other fingers. It takes a lot of facility to do that. So now I'm going to put the hands together at the beginning of System 5, modulating from D minor to our B flat major subdominant. Let's see how this all sounds in context. stretch. And he gives us one more sequence with motive 1. It's another duet. This time the duet's between the soprano and the bass. So I'm going to play first the bass by itself, the beginning of System 6. It's the end of measure 19 on the 3rd beat. Bass. 3, 4, 1. Okay. Soprano on the 3rd beat. 3, 4, 1, 2, 3, 4. You see it's climbing up, repeating the same thing. The only part left we haven't seen is the alto. 3 and 4 and 1 and 2 and 3 and 4 and 1, 2. Let's put those all together slowly. What's coming? Another subject. In the bass, back home, exactly what we had in measure 3. The bass, 1, 2, 3, 4, 1. Soprano answers, 2, 3, 4, 1. So he's come full circle, exactly as we started. Soprano, bass and soprano. It's so absolutely beautiful. I'm going to put the hands together now, the last line, and let's see how this piece triumphantly closes in F major. And there is your Sinfonia number 8 in F major. I want to share with you that when I was first learning this piece, and this is relatively recently learned for me, it will continue to get refined in my playing as I grow into it. You know, we really need to be with a piece for years before it becomes just in the bones of the hands. But in the process of learning this, it kept tapping me on the shoulder. I'd walk around doing various activities, and more falling in love with the piece, until finally it became just a part of me. And that kind of work with this is where the joy is. The joy is in the journey, and the joy is in the detail, the savoring of every delicious detail that you can find in this piece. I hope you've enjoyed this. I certainly have, and thank you.